How to stop trying to get your parents' approval. This is going to be the topic that we're going to get into in this video. In a moment, we're going to do a tapping script that we can do together to help change this behavior. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention a couple of key points. It is normal and natural for us to want our parents to approve of us. When we are children, we need our parents to approve of us. It's part of our wiring and part of our survival. But sometimes we learn this from a young age when we are young children. And it is part of what we learn as children because we're growing up in a dysfunctional home. Maybe we have narcissistic parents. Maybe we were around abuse. Maybe we were taught that we were the caretakers for our parents. Or maybe it's because of our culture, and our culture expects us to look good and to have a certain kind of life or lifestyle, certain degrees, or make certain amount of money when we are adults. And so we continue on this path of making choices out of this desire to get our parents to approve of us, all the while never letting ourselves develop and come out and be expressed and live out that path. This is something that many people are affected by. And it's understandable when we are young, but as adults, it creates a mess. And we find that who we are is buried. So let's tap about this to shift this behavior, to change it, and to heal, and to reclaim our own power and strength. Please watch this all the way through. I have some really important points that I'm going to be making through the tapping. And if you're brand new to tapping, please check out the description below this video where I have resources on how you can learn tapping through my book. I have an e-course and plenty of videos on this channel to help get you started. Otherwise, please tap along with me, tap where I tap, and as always, if I say anything that isn't true for you, please insert a statement that is correct and accurate for your experience. Okay. All right, tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I want my parents to approve of me, I want them to see me for who I am. I want their approval so badly. I choose to deeply and completely love myself completely anyway. Tapping through the points. I want my parents to approve of me. I want them to see who I really am. And I want them to like that person. I want them to support and encourage me. So I try really hard to be who I think they want me to be. But even though I try really hard, that approval never arrives. I'm still met with criticism. I still don't get any kind of support or encouragement. And I just feel worse. So I try harder. And I try to please them even more. I want to hear those words of encouragement. I want to get that support so badly. I want to finally hear them say that I'm enough. But it doesn't ever come. So I have internalized all of these feelings. That I'm not good enough. That who I am isn't okay. That I can't trust myself. And I have a whole lot of self-doubt. Sometimes their disapproval is very obvious. Sometimes it's overt. And other times it is so subtle that I hardly even notice it until a day or two later. Like a small little pinprick. And they probably don't even realize that they're doing it either. I feel like I need to prove that I'm not a failure. That I'm not a loser. That I have my act together, finally. Don't they see that? But they don't. And they will not. And actually, it's not my job to make them see that. All this time I have spent in my life orchestrating my life to get their approval, trying to get their support, always chasing after that encouragement, always trying to get that love that I've never received. Years and decades of my life have gone by. And I'm still in the same pattern. And I have so much I want to let out. Aspects of myself that I want to set free, that I want to express and own. I am craving being authentic, showing who I really am, and risking not caring if I get that approval or not. So it's time that I own this. I have allowed their voices in my head. And I hear those voices stop me before I even begin. I have heard the criticism so much that now I've learned how to criticize myself. I shoot down ideas before I even begin. Because I hear what they would say in response. Enough of this. I'm not a child. This wound came from childhood. And it's still running my life. Up until now. My parents' disapproval of me has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. It is not my duty or obligation to be who someone else wants me to be. I am not their supply. It is not my job to make them happy. It is my job to take responsibility for my happiness. They have a very limited view of the world. And up until now, I have accepted those limitations as well. But I am clearing that out right now. It stops with me. I decide to stop proving myself. I decide to stop looking outside of myself. Love and approval don't come from outside of me. It starts with me. It starts within. I make my motivation to live from my heart, not to live by pleasing someone else. I don't allow those voices in my head any longer. Those voices of criticism and judgment. Those voices I learned so well. I don't allow them in my mind any longer. I have good boundaries around my mind. I don't allow anything there that does not serve me. I keep that area clean and pristine. I only have to be true to myself and embrace my gifts and who I am and walk my unique path. It doesn't matter if I'm different. It doesn't matter if they don't agree with it or like it. They don't have to. There's no pressure. They don't have to conform to what I'm doing. And I don't have to conform to them. I see this issue very clearly now. I see how it has controlled my life. And I don't allow that to happen any longer. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself 100%. And for all that I am and what makes up who I am. My worth and my value are inherent. And that is where it starts. I embrace that gift and give it to myself. Okay. Take a deep inhale and then exhale. Last thing I want to point out is that oftentimes with this issue, it is a very deep issue that we learned early on and it got reinforced for decades. So I recommend that even if you have dealt with this on your own or working with a healer or a therapist, come back and tap through this again. Tap about this topic again. Revisit it often, at least once a week. Because oftentimes we can slip back into that pattern of trying to please and not realize it, so that we are not coming from this authentic heart space in the world, that our motivation is from that old pattern. And it's something we have to kind of keep up and maintain for a while. So keep at it, and thank you for coming along this journey, for doing this important and courageous work on yourself. That's it for today. If you have questions or comments, leave it for me below. And please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please share it with anyone you know could also benefit. That also helps support the channel and spread the word out into the YouTube world. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I will see you next week.